Today, I want to talk a little bit about Michael Pittman Jr. and the fact that we're in that window where players can be franchise tagged. And there was some information that I had never seen before, but it was a report that I saw come out from a conversation that Michael Pittman Jr. had with James Boyd back after the season ended. And at that point, the estimation for the franchise tag was a little different, but the point remains the same, right? Even though the number that you're going to hear is 21.6, right now it's 20.7 is the estimation. I thought this quote was interesting, and it's something that had I heard earlier, wouldn't have had that whole spiel about Michael Pittman Jr. So this is what Michael Pittman Jr. had to say. He said, I don't think anybody would be displeased with $21.6 million. The franchise tag is almost like a sign of respect. Obviously, you get paid at the top five of your position, but do I necessarily want to play on one? And what he means there is 1 year. He doesn't want to play on 1 year. And he finishes by saying, no, I do not want to play on the tag, but you can use that to work toward a long term deal. So, just like any other player, he doesn't really want to play on the franchise tag, but he is open to it with as much as he's going to be getting paid. And he mentioned, the top five at his position, right? The franchise tag for different positions is set by the average salary of the top five at that position. Michael Pittman Jr. would be making a lot of money, and being top five, while knowing, he's probably realistic enough to know like he's not Devontae Adams. He's not Justin Jefferson, who's about to get a ridiculous deal from the Vikings at some point. Like, he's really good. Michael Pittman's really good, but he's never been the best receiver in the league. So getting a top five contract in the NFL, whether it's for 1 year or for four, I think would be a good deal for Michael Pittman Jr. He's open to it. And if nothing else, then judging by these comments, he's expecting it to happen, and he's trying to, say the right things to make himself feel better about this, right? There's a human aspect to this. Of course, any guy in the NFL is going to want a long-term deal, but if he has to play on a 1 year deal, he has to play on a 1 year deal. Michael Pittman Jr. has shown year after year as he continues to get better every single season. Like, this is a guy that is taking all the right steps towards being that guy, right? This past season caught 109 passes for 1,152 yards and had 4 touchdowns. And it showed in the Atlanta Falcons game where the Colts went and got blown out by a bad Falcons team that Michael Pittman Jr. is essential for what the Colts are doing on offense. At least at this point in the Colts history, they need Michael Pittman Jr. So it would make sense to put the tag on him. Now, honestly, if we're going to pay him big money, I'd say go ahead, just get a deal done, right? Instead of paying him 21.6 for one season, go ahead, sign him up for 3 or 4 years right now. But at the end of the day, right now, it seems like one way or another, Michael Pittman Jr. is going to end up being a Colt again, which is great news. Got to have him back on team. Nothing's been official. Nobody at this point has been tagged yet. We're only a couple days into this thing again. Just like I said in the video a few days ago, I think we're going to wait. The teams want to wait to see what they see at the combine with some of these guys, and then they're going to make decisions on, okay, are we going to try to go after certain people in the draft here, or are we going to go ahead, pay our guy? Are we going to franchise tag this guy? I think those decisions will be made late in the week next week. But for any changes that come up, of course, I'll let you know. Now, I also want to talk about Nate Higgins and the possibility of the Colts drafting him. Somebody we've talked about plenty. We had a video just on him. We also kind of grazed over him in a couple other videos and kind of talked about it. But in the latest mock draft by Daniel Jeremiah, who over the last few seasons has had the most accurate mock drafts compared to everybody else, all the big name guys that are doing it, the Mel Kipers of the world, all those guys that do it year after year. Daniel Jeremiah has been the one that's been the most accurate. And his latest mock draft, his mock draft 2.0, has Nate Wiggins going to the Colts. And this is, again, just like we continue to mention, Nate Wiggins to the Colts, I'd be just fine. But that's a guy that could be a potential replacement for Kenny Moore if Kenny Moore ends up leaving in free agency, or if we don't end up re-signing Kenny Moore for some reason. And even if we do re-sign Kenny Moore, Nate Wiggins will be a good depth piece if anything happens to one of the guys on the outside or a couple of the guys on the outside, because we kind of already have depth, right? Dallas Flowers, Jalen Jones, Juju Brents. We have our guys on the outside. So adding more depth, adding Nate Wiggins to that from the first round, I think would be really good. If Kenny Moore does resign, that'd be great. If Kenny Moore doesn't resign, the slot position might be, a little up and down through the season, but I think Nate Wiggins is really good. So we'll see what happens. That kind of excites me. I like the fact that Daniel Jeremiah is saying that Nate Wiggins could end up as a Colt as we continue to get closer. Right, the draft is in just 2 months, so we'll see what happens. What's the Colts approach going to be in free agency, and that'll kind of dictate what we want to do in the draft. So, lot to talk about coming up. Franchise tag, free agencies on the horizon, the combines next week, draft here in just a couple months, and then we start getting into OTAs and all that, and then we're right back into the NFL news cycle for a little while. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have those notifications turned on so you get notified as we have daily content on this channel. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.